Two seats. Chairs. Both done.
Herlene, and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Markham Civic Center. And I have to say, it's great to see so many not only interested people, but the broad spectrum of organizations that are reflected in today's attendance to deal with homelessness, and to certainly do it on the day that the world puts a spotlight on this particular issue. So I welcome all of you, but I do want to say a special thank you to Regional Councillor Nirmala Armstrong, whose idea was to hold an initiative like this within I know that she enlisted Councillor Karen Ray, and Councillor Ray accepted and has been a large part of bringing together the committee and organizing this day as well. And I have to say, I know that the organization, and I know there's many here today, but I have to mention 360 Kids because certainly many of us on council have supported it, and I know that recently Karen did something very physical. Maybe she can tell you what she did, but I know I don't think I could have pulled it off. But she did it to raise money for 360 Kids, and again bring to the awareness of the community the need that we have even here within the city of Markham. So thank you, Councillor Ray. Others will be kind of highlighting all of the members of the committee, so I perhaps save a bit of time and just say thank you to the committee, because I think you can appreciate putting together a program like this is not done overnight, and I hope that today's session is very meaningful for all of us and really coming together. And I think this is what's important about today, is the fact that we're able to talk about things. Because if we can't talk about things, we're not going to solve issues within our community. And sometimes, as I often try to tell family and friends, you know, starting the discussion is that big step towards finding the solution. And sometimes even acknowledging that an issue exists within a community, an organization, whoever you might be involved with, is an important part. And I think that's really what gets me excited about today, is that the discussion will be happening, the acknowledgement that we have issues, even in a place like the city of Markham. It's difficult at times as you drive or cycle or walk or go to school or work in this community to even think that we would have individuals that don't have a place to stay, that don't have a place they can call home, when you see so many beautiful communities right across the city of Markham. So it's starting the discussion, it's having the acknowledgement, and certainly bringing people of different perspectives in one room, at least in one initiative, to talk about it, to find solutions. So I want to thank Andy Taylor, our Chief Administrative Officer, who's here as well, and not only for his interest, but his leadership in helping to promote this particular initiative. And I wanted to also acknowledge other members of council that are here. We have Councillor Logan Kanapathy, who's also here. I welcome you. Councillor Alex Chu, who's also here. Councillor Amanda Colucci, who's also here. In this group, you're all sitting so close together. It's a sold-out crowd is what I was told it is. But I know that we just finished up a meeting, and there may be a couple of other councillors coming in from time to time over the course of your discussion. So thank you. Welcome to Collaborating to End Youth Homelessness. And thanks as well to those that have supported today's events by providing some of the resources to pull this off, and to be able to do this on World Homelessness Day, again, I think is very important. And aside from the honorary chairs that we had. We also had the two co-chairs, Arlene, who was here, and Arlene, I just got a chance to meet him. I don't know that everyone in the room has, but I welcome him and thank him and congratulate him on his new job. The new executive director of 360 Kids, Clovis Grant, who's also. So, yeah, International Homelessness Day started 7 years ago on this day on October 10th. And it's an opportunity certainly to draw attention from the rest of the world, the issue of homelessness. And again, hard to believe sometimes in our community that we have individuals that don't have a place to stay at night, that might be hungry, and also may face mental health issues. And not having support for any one of those would be big. Not having support for all three, among other things, is not the type of life that I want youth to experience in our community. So truly, those that experience any of those issues, I want that to change, and I think together, you're coming together as a community to help make that change here within the city of Markham. And I think hopefully what comes out of today will help all of us, whether individual community groups, whether you're an actual provincial or federal agency, or whether you're an institution within the city of Markham, all of us coming together. Hopefully what comes out of this will be able to go beyond, not just here in Markham, but to other communities as well. Youth homelessness is often really the result of many factors, such as family breakdown, lack of appropriate and affordable housing, unemployment, and certainly all of these things can have significant impacts on any community. Ending homelessness is really not the sole responsibility of one particular level of government or one organization just to kind of hand it over to 360 Kids and say good luck. It takes government, it takes NGOs, and it takes, I think, the various groups that we have within our community, groups of all backgrounds, both ethnically, socially, and economically, to come together to tackle the problem. And so it is a combined effort with the community and also local businesses, but I think it's also collaboration with teachers and the education system. You know, if kids aren't at home and they're at least going to school, no one knows kids better than the teachers that are spending time with them each and every day in the classroom. Certainly with counselors at schools, certainly with faith leaders in our community. And hopefully with the collaboration of all of those groups, we can come up with some innovative ideas to tackle a very complex problem. The City of Markham is certainly committed to addressing homelessness. I think the leadership of our councillors and certainly the work that we do and the support through various fundraising initiatives goes to support all of that. But I think the discussion today will be going much more beyond sort of touch points where we kind of say, well, we've done our part. No, it's what kind of work program can we develop collectively that we can check in every once in a while and say, you know, how are we doing? Have the indicators changed at all? Are there as many homeless youth today as there were 3 years ago? And I'm hoping that some of the results of today's discussion will actually develop a framework that will help us advocate for more affordable housing, because as we know, that can't be done without the other levels of government. We're looking at a process here in the city of Markham to we're not going to have this ready by the end of the year, but our whole development charge policy is being reviewed and will be done by the end of the year. That we have to have certain legislative requirements to have it finished, but we've asked our staff, and we'll be meeting with some builders in the industry, particularly those that want to build rental housing in our community. What's it going to take? What type of incentives will it take to get you to build more of that within our community? because once the pressure is there for everyone, those that are more vulnerable sort of get left out in the process. So if we don't have enough stock within our community, it really does impact everyone. And we all know that youth are more vulnerable even at the best of times. So you can imagine that the seemingly insurmountable obstacles that face youth within our community. They do need the support of family, and they do need the support of healthcare professionals. But at the end of the day, they need people in their lives that care for them. Because if they don't have that, I think we can all guess where they're going to end up. I hope that this event will give you some insight to the needs that exist within our community and the big task that lies ahead. And I do encourage all of you to share your expertise. I mean, some of you are here because of your deep interest and commitment, and there's many in the room that are here because they have the experiences that they can share and enlighten the rest of us as to just how deep and how serious the problem is within our community. So today we come together on World Homelessness Day with the efforts of the Planning Committee, and hopefully when we're finished, as I said, I'm hoping we have a bit of a framework that we collectively, whether we're in politics, whether we're a business, whether we belong to a faith organization, whether we belong to an NGO, whether we're just someone who says, what can I do to help? We have a place to start, we have a place to measure, and we have a place to make some progress. Again, thanks to all of you, and thank you for taking the time to be here today for what I consider as a very important initiative in our community. And with that, I'd like to...
Initiatives from United Way to come and join us and share a few words as well.
Thank you. So, thank you for the introduction. My name is Fabio Crespin. I'm the manager of youth initiatives at United Way Toronto and York Region. I would like to start saying that our CEO, Daniele Zanetti, would like to be here today. And he sent his regards, and not only that, he said, make sure that you let them know how committed we are to this cause. So I wanted to say that. So I want to build a little bit on what was said before and what the mayor said before, and I want to start praising all of you for being here today. I don't want to sound too cheesy, but I honestly believe that we're starting a new era where the socio-economic development agents, non-profit organizations, and governments will work much closely together with employers. I think that to tackle major societal issues, again, a new era where governments and nonprofits will start working much closely together with employers so we can together tackle the major challenges that are impacting our society. I'm saying starting because it's indeed, I believe, the movement is just starting. And this meeting today is definitely corroborating that. That's the first thing. So first of all, a round of applause for you again. Share with you a little bit about what we have done in the past, I would say 60, 70 years in United Way Toronto and York Region in terms of responding to this big issue of our society. There is no doubt that this issue has been, front in our heads in United Way. I think what is different now, folks, to be very honest, is this idea of that we need a systems approach. The idea that we have to understand the root causes of this big issue and we have to tackle as a society. So the idea of systems. And I just want to take the next couple of minutes to open a little bit more what I mean by systems. So the first system is the ripple effects that the issue of youth homelessness cause, right? So the idea of impacting our economy, young people that are now in social assistance, talent that are not being developed, jobs that are not being in place, impact our retirement system in the future, so create a huge dysfunctionality in our economy. The other system that is deeply impacted is the health system. Right? So there is no doubt that poverty and youth homelessness, or homelessness in general, deeply impact our health, mental health, and our health in general. So just to give two examples of how this issue impacts system in a broader way. But what I really wanted to talk now is a bit of the roles of the different components of our system, non-profits, governments, and employers in helping to respond to that. So, sorry if I'm oversimplifying things, but I would divide interventions in three parts. Prevention. So who is doing that? Amazing organizations such as 360, the board system, community services agencies. Those are the folks trying to work in prevention, trying to help families to stay together, these dysfunctionalities that the mayor mentioned to us as one of the main causes of youth homelessness. And second, helping those ones who are in need. Poverty also as the main cause of this issue. So that's the first part, prevention. How we are doing in civil society. We are donating to United Way, we are paying our taxes, which result in impact on that, and we're also volunteering. The second phase of interventions, folks, is the emergency response. When a young person, a girl or a boy, a young person, becomes homeless. How is the emergency system working? And in the past, we have been concentrating our efforts in this piece, and now we understand that we have to expand our efforts. But this speaks mainly to our shelter system, and also to our big, amazing volunteer programs, such as the one that 360 created as well, consider that we don't have enough beds, so the civil society can step up and provide beds as well for some young people in need. As a civil society, you also donate to United Way, you also pay your taxes, and you also volunteer. Brilliant. It is on the third piece, folks, which is the economic security, that employers can maybe play a bigger role. So we're talking about a continuum that maybe take 5 years from a person who is becoming homeless until this person is economically secure. But the idea is that after we stabilize this person, this young person now has a shelter, has food security. The question is how we equip now this young person so sooner or later he or she can become self-sustaining. And that's the part where employers can help us. Doing three things, folks, just to become very tangible. The first one is becoming mentors. And this can happen even before. So I know that they overlap these phases, these three phases that I'm sharing. But first, becoming mentors. As the mayor said, what a lot of the young people that we're serving need is references, is people that guide us, that help them. So become a mentor. The second one is helping us change a bit the system from a degree system to a competence system. A lot of the young people that we're serving don't have degrees but have a lot of competences. And then when they see a job posting, poof, I don't have this degree. So then I'm discarded automatically. So how can you transition from a system that values competences that you may have gained even in the street? That's the second piece that you can help us as employers. And the third one, which is the biggest one, is helping us creating pathways. Help us identify where are labor market gaps and opportunities, where we have retiring workforce, where the geography is a barrier. Whatever is the reason for having a hiring challenge, so we can respond to it, so we can prepare young people accordingly. Again, understanding labor market gaps and opportunities, breaking down these occupations and needs, what are the competencies, so we can train young people accordingly. So that's the third avenue. And then you can create jobs, potentially, for these young people that we're training. So just recapping, folks, it's amazing that we're donating, of course, to United Way, 360, and other such organizations. It's also amazing that, of course, as all of us pay our taxes, and we have amazing governments looking at that. It's also important that you volunteer, but I'm introducing the three that maybe are not so new, but I wanted to flag to you. Volunteer as a mentor. Help us shift a little bit our system from a credentials to a competencies. And third, help us understand where are and what are your hiring needs so we can respond to it. Thank you so much. I look forward to working with you.
Hi, everyone. I'm going to move quickly into talking about what 360 Kids is about. So there we go. My name is Clovis Grant. I'm the new Executive Director / CEO for 360 Kids. And I'm going to help you understand a little bit about the work we do. And then I will have a couple of people follow me who will talk specifically about from perspective of an employer. Mike will share about that, and I've got a young person who participated in our programs Devontae, who will also speak about the experience. And really, the hope here, as you've heard from the mayor and Fabio, is really it's the beginning of a conversation. And so much of what I'm going to share about the work we do is really meant to, one, ground you in the work of 360 Kids, but secondly, it's just to help you understand the power of partnerships. And that's what today is about. It's about how can we, as partners in the community, actually create some wonderful legacies for young people that will help them build the future that many of us want. So, what does homelessness look like to you? And you can take a look at the presentations to the side, or you can look at me. Homelessness, when people think about homelessness, lots of different things run through their minds. And importantly, the reason why we need to talk about what homelessness looks like, because oftentimes when people think about homeless, those who are homeless, there are images that go through their heads, and there are lots of misconceptions about homelessness, and particularly about homeless youth. And why do we need to address the issue of the misconceptions? Well, think about this. If I told you that I was a millionaire and I became a millionaire by robbing a bank versus I built a business, there will be some ideas that run through your mind about who I am as a person based on the mere fact that I have $1 million. Well, think about if you think that young people who are homeless because that they're rebellious, they run away from a nice home, and they just want to do whatever they want, versus somebody who is running away from an abusive situation, somebody who's running away from a parent who's trying to sell them into prostitution. You see the issue of misconceptions. And this is what today is about. It's really to help create awareness, number one. Number two is also then to engage us in a conversation about how can we address this important issue. One of the things to note also is that in different studies, it's talked about that adult homelessness, in about 50% of the cases, those people are homeless because they started being homeless at a young age. And so if we don't address the issue of homelessness amongst young people, we're really setting ourselves up for homelessness amongst adults. And so really, there is no glory for a young person to be homeless, and one of the things that I want to also flag about understanding about homelessness is oftentimes homelessness is not the people that you see on the street. There is, stats show that about 80% of those who are homeless, actually you don't see them. As you see from some of the news articles, there's a big population of hidden homeless individuals, people who are going from couch to couch, in precarious situations, and these are individuals that are in our communities, and if we're not aware that they exist, then it's as if there is no problem. So I think it's important also to understand that those who are homeless are not necessarily people who you are going to see. A recent count showed that there are about 1,100 people in York Region who actually stayed in shelters over the past year. And 1/3 of those who are homeless are considered chronic, meaning they spent at least 180 days or half a year on the streets or in really pretty atrocious kind of housing. So what about young people? Why are young people homeless? The mayor spoke about a few reasons. I'm going to just show you a very short video to help identify this as well. Cool. not sure why the duplicate photos, but you get the idea that the reason why young people are homeless is for a whole bunch of reasons, most of which is not because they're rebellious young people who just want their own freedom. So the work of 360 Kids is really, as you see there, it's to help young people get to a state of safety and security and stability in their lives. We really want to be an organization committed to preventing homelessness before it begins, and when it does happen is to rapidly move them into a situation where they're safe and provides stability. And really, a lot of that goes back to housing and support. And so on the chart there, you'll see a whole bunch of things that we do. And I'm not going to take time to go through them all because we will be here for quite some time. However, what I do want to do is just flag a few things, because I talked initially about the importance of partnership. And I just wanted to highlight how important partnership has been in the development of our programs. And really, much of what I want us to do today is to think about how can we as partners develop similar solutions to homelessness. So this has come not as necessarily the work of 360, but the work of a lot of people putting their ideas together and working together to come up with solutions. And so I'm just going to flag how partnership has been so important for us in developing innovation that has led to some of our really groundbreaking programs. For instance, our human trafficking program came about as a result of a relationship with the York Region Police. And so from that, an entire program was developed to address the issue of young people who are ending up in where they're being trafficked. Through our partnership with the York Region Transit System, we're able to actually develop an outreach program that connects with young people who are that hidden homeless population who may be riding the buses and with no place to go. And so we've got, through that partnership, we're able to actually address issues of youth homelessness. Our partnership with York Region District School Board enables us to work together to address the issues of, number one, young people getting their education, because we know the trajectory without an education is really challenging for many of us. And as we move towards more competencies, thank you, Fabio, that will certainly help. But we need to focus on that, on education. Also, through our partnership with the school board, we're able to work, and I'll use the word upstream, in identifying young people who may be at risk of homelessness long before they're homeless. Working with Children's Aid, other community agencies in our residential and our drop-in programs enables us to connect with young people who may be also at risk of homelessness and being able to support their needs. Through a partnership with the Toronto Region Conservation Authority, they've got buildings that are being unoccupied and unused, and we're able to use that as developing a pilot program to actually address housing needs and work together on that. So that's a cool program that we're really moving forward on. Through the support of the community who have community members who have housing, who may have grown-up kids and have extra bedrooms, able to provide housing for young people on a very temporary basis. So again, very innovative ideas that just came as a result of conversations like the one we're going to have. And of course, we have an employment program that meets so many different needs of young people based on the needs that they have, whether you're talking doing stuff in group, those with mental health challenges, those who need more one-on-one support. We have a variety of different employment programs working with employers like yourselves who will hire and be supportive of young people. So all to say, everything that you see there is really has come as a result of really good conversations like the one you're going to have today. And through that, we're able to achieve some really amazing things, seeing young people staying employed, being able to have opportunities where young people are able to be off the streets and saving the system lots of money, because it's really expensive to have people go to jail, it's expensive to have people in the hospitals. So if you can prevent people from going down some of those really challenging pathways, we're saving ourselves, our economy, lots and lots of money. And through a wonderful partnership with the York region, we're able to build a state-of-the-art facility in Richmond Hill that has housed a number of our programs, and I'm just going to quickly show you through some pictures. We have our drop-in program there called Home Base, and we have one in Vaughan and one here also in Markham. We have the emergency shelter with 14 beds for young people, the only one in South York region. So again, meeting a need. We have some transitional apartments where young people can stay for up to a year to support them as they get ready to move on with their lives. And so really, I want to echo again my thanks to all of you for being here and helping us with this really, really important conversation. So I'm going to transition next to our additional speakers, and I'm going to ask Mike Chardillo
to thank everybody for the opportunity to speak to our experience with 360 Kids. The opportunity for us to partner with 360 Kids came up through our partnership, Peak Installations, with Home Depot Canada. We are a national exclusive service provider to Home Depot. So when this opportunity came up, it was a very nice fit for us. We had a need for a part-time warehouse associate, and 360 Kids did all the heavy lifting. They set up some interviews for us. So the process, I'll just tell you a little bit about the process that got us to where we are today. So there was 2 interviews that were set up for us, and what struck me right away was how prepared and passionate really the 2 young men that we interviewed were. They were it was a tough decision for me to choose which young man we were going to actually hire as a part-time warehouse associate. But we made a decision, and the experience was really one of growth. I want to say of growth for myself as well. Learned a lot, and the young man that we hired just did a fantastic job for us. So the work was done, he was on time, very professional, fit in with the culture of our company very quickly. And that part-time position, he was going to school part-time and working part-time for us. And that grew eventually when his experience with 360 Kids was over. I believe it was 10 weeks. We actually offered him a full-time position with our organization. So that was also a great step for us. He was working full-time for us as a warehouse associate, and throughout the process, again, just getting more ingrained with what we do on a day-to-day basis, learning more about our organization operationally, getting more involved with the office staff as far as helping with the office staff. So eventually the young man got promoted and from warehouse he went into and worked for our order desk. And the whole experience started for us about 3 years ago, and it really developed into this great relationship with this young man. And recently, 2 weeks ago, he actually got a great opportunity to move to BC and take on a position in BC. So it was a bittersweet moment for us because we really grew to get to know this young man, and he did such a great job for us, and really kind of I gained a friend from it, and just to watch him grow, and like I said, it was a lot of growth for me as well through this process. It was just, again, I can't say enough about how great the whole process was, and being involved in this program was really easy for us to get behind, and was very successful for us. So again, just wanted to share a little bit about our experience, and I want to thank everybody again for the opportunity to speak to it.
Incredibly tired, so some of you may have seen me like just dozing off a couple times. I'm not interested, I'm just extremely tired. I have been working with volunteering for 360 Kids for about a year now. probably the first major thing that I ever did with them was their Base for Success program last year. I did that for about 2 or 3 months. It was the first employment program that I've ever done that actually got me a job that I actually enjoyed. I bounced around a few with YMCA and other groups, and unfortunately a lot of the things that I was doing, it did not seem like it seemed like they were just putting me somewhere for the sake of putting me somewhere, and not trying to fit me in somewhere where I could actually be a good fit with the crew. And when I went through Basic Success, I came out with a bunch of skills that I never had before. I had my first aid, I had my Smart Serve, I had, what else I got? I had my CPR training, so many things that I can now put on a resume and say, hey, I have all of these amazing skills that I've never had before. And it's really funny because now when I do apply for jobs, they see this and they're like, oh, where did you get this? Where did you do this? I'm like, oh, 360 Kids. You have a wonderful program, and it's fantastic, and I'm really in support of it. I'm always trying to tell people that homelessness is not a very easy subject. I've experienced it, unfortunately, several times. I was in and out of my own family's house. There were times when I was sleeping on park benches. There were times when I was sleeping in my school's gym. I was just going from place to place, and I didn't really think I would have a real job or a real home. I was able to secure that job within the first week after my training. They hired me on as a full-time member at Cineplex, and even to this day, I have connections with the general manager there because of how the connection is between her and 360 Kids. I have a place to live now, and I'm going to be there for the next 8 months or so, and I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to fear about whether I'll be making rent. I don't have to fear whether or not I'm going to be having enough food to last me for a day or a week. Everything that I need is going to be provided for either through my own means or through the support that 360 Kids gives. And I really want people to understand the importance of supporting companies like 360 Kids and knowing that there is an impact there, and that there are people that are coming out much, much better than how they were going in. Almost every single counselor, almost every single social worker that I've spoken to last year and who I've spoken to this year has noticed the incredible changes that I've gone through and just the wonderful things that I've been able to accomplish. And as happy as I am that they're able to support me, I do know that I did have to put in a lot of that work myself. So thank you, all of you, for being here and being willing to do this and partake in something like this. And even if it's not in our own lifetimes, maybe in our kids' lifetimes, hopefully homelessness is not something that we need to be having a room of people sitting around discussing, having to deal with it. Thank you.
To solve homelessness in 2 hours, well, unfortunately that's not going to happen, but what we can do is have a really good beginning conversation.
So there's to start those conversations pretty much right now, and we will warn you when there's about 10 minutes left to go, and hopefully you'll